In this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly why the courses that you buy are not making you money, and it is not for the reason that you think. This was kind of prompted because I was tagged in something where someone was like, I thought this guy sucked, and it was because I heard some other guy talking about him, and so I just immediately, made a judgment, and now I started watching his YouTube, and I read his book, $100 offers, you can get it for 99 cents, and I was like, oh, this guy's pretty legit. And for some reason, this has got my head racing on a number of different topics, and I tried to write them all down on my phone so I could make this for you. But I'm going to explain to you why your course didn't make you money. I'm going to explain how you can try and get the best out of courses, how you can know how to use judgment and when to apply it, and finally, I'll explain to you why Spanish is a scam. All right? Lots of packed stuff today. First off, the reason the course that you bought didn't make you money is oftentimes because the thing that the course taught is not the only thing that is required to make money. And so, for example, if I were to learn how to do math, do I need to know how to do math in order to be good at business? Yes. Does knowing math make me good at business? No. It is a subset, superset relationship. Do I need to know how to write copy to be good at business? Yes. If I only know how to write copy, will I make money? No. The reality is that in order to get the first dollar across the bridge, it's much more important to see it as a bridge from where you are and where you're trying to go. And each one of the bricks represents a skill that you'll need. If you do not have one of the bricks, you will not be able to continue to pass. The difficulty in what most people have is that they continue to reinforce one brick and they still have a gap. So it's like I take 6 different courses on copywriting, but copywriting isn't the link that is broken in the bridge to get you from where you are to where you want to go and get that first dollar across or get the increase in dollars across. Because if you want to think about it differently, think about it like a pipe. And right now you've got, let's say, thick tubes for the vast majority of the pipe. So you could have lots of water that's flowing here, but then you have this tiny little tube over here because it's a weakness in the system and it affects the overall throughput from your entire business, right? And you should think about business, in my opinion, like a pipe, right? You've got eyeballs over here and you've got money over here, right? And it's everything that happens from eyeballs to headlines to ads to copy to clicks to conversions to sales to upsells, etc. All of that is just this process where eyeballs get turned into money. And so if you can just shift your perspective from like, I bought a course on copywriting or I bought a course on Facebook ads or whatever it is, and I didn't make money, it's not because the course was bad. Maybe it was, but that's not the point. The point is that it's probably because you're missing another piece of the puzzle, and that's why it takes so long for so many people when they get into the game and they get so frustrated at the beginning because everybody tells the story. I bought all these courses, it didn't work for me, and then I finally got this thing, and then it all took off. But many times, that last course was just the last piece of a bridge that other people helped you build. And I think that if you can shift that perspective, you'll stop having such negative, views around some of the earlier teachers in your life, and then you'll also be able to just spot the gap in your learning and then attack it ruthlessly. And I think that's one of the things that most people don't do is they just start continuing to learn about the things that they enjoy rather than continue to focus on the things that they lack. Now, sure, doubling down on your strength from a large perspective is a very good idea, but the business as a whole, especially if you're a solopreneur, right? Or an entrepreneur who's starting out and only has a team of 5, maybe 10 people, like the business has to do all of these things, period. So you can be, skewed in a certain direction. You might be better at acquisition. You might be better at product. You might be better at fulfillment, whatever it is, right? You might be better at those things and like learning about that stuff. But in order for the business to be successful, all of these roles have to exist. And even if you don't want to specialize in it, you still need to know enough about it to be dangerous so that you can make a judgment on how good someone else is to know if they can fit in your business. So I wanted to cover that first off. The second thing is that for some reason, and actually for some reason, I'll tell you exactly what the reason is, people get very upset about courses they buy on the internet, and yet for some reason, no one is upset about the fact that they took 4 years of Spanish and can't speak a lick of Spanish. Why is that? Because of expectations. That's all it is. It's because of expectations. They believe, or maybe you believe, I don't know, that if you buy a course, right, that immediately you should be successful. And I'm going to be here to tell you that that's not true. And that's because if you just show up at school, some people enroll in classes and never show up. Is like if you enroll in a Spanish class and never show up, is Spanish a scam? Probably not. Do you believe that it's possible that there are good students and bad students, just like there are good teachers and bad teachers? Do you think it's possible that half of students are below average? Half of the people watching this might be below average. Interesting. And so if half the people that take an educational course are below average, then it would be reasonable that half the people who take a course will get bad results. Now, a good teacher can shift that percentage, but the thing is what ends up happening is it's a bell curve, right? And this is studied a zillion times over. Classes and humans exist in a bell curve. And so a good teacher can move the bell curve one direction or other, but there's still going to be the outliers on the front and the outliers on the back. And so the reason that people get upset is because of the expectations that they cast upon what they believe they're going to get. And I think part of that's a fault of the marketing and the sales process, et cetera. And don't get me wrong, I think there's definitely things that can be improved there. But I think that you can try and wish and cast stones on those people, or you can just understand going into it that there's a responsibility that you would have as a student, just like if you went to college, to do a certain amount of stuff. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I genuinely am super passionate about education in general. Over half the companies in our portfolio are education and training companies. I believe in vocational type training stuff, which is why our gym company is basically how to run a gym, right? And companies that I like are like niche expertise type things, like how to run an auto shop, how to run a plumbing business, because that stuff doesn't get taught anywhere. When I look at the educational system as a whole, I think almost everybody watching this, especially if you're in my channel, we can agree that the education system as a whole has failed us. Learning about Aztec literature probably isn't going to serve us in the real world. And so I think that the reason all of the e-learning is booming is because education has failed to keep up with the times. And it's wildly overpriced. The value to price proposition is one of the most laughable in the entire world. They saddled an entire generation with debt and no way to repay it. You get to the end of 4 years, you have $100,000 in debt, and you have literally no more skills that will qualify you for a job. You can get the same jobs before and after a 4-year degree. It's nuts. And so the reason that acquisition.com exists for us is so that we can hopefully, my goal is to build the new world of education, which is how people can actually get skills that can feed themselves. And it was because I went to, some of you guys may not know this, but I went to Vanderbilt. I graduated Magna Cum Laude in 3 years. So I was a good student. I don't have the typical entrepreneurial journey of teachers never understood me and I was messed around and couldn't pay attention. I didn't have that. I worked really hard and I got good grades. And despite that, nothing that I learned at Vanderbilt at all in any class was more valuable than any course I've ever bought in e-learning. Think how crazy that is, right? I've bought courses on freaking everything. I bought courses on YouTube ads. I bought courses on copywriting. I bought courses on sales. I bought multiple courses on sales. Everything you can possibly imagine. I bought mentorships, I bought workshops, I bought seminars, all of these things. If you were to spend the same $100,000 that you'd spend on a 4-year degree versus spending $100,000 in the e-learning community on the most vetted courses and go through them and give yourself 4 years to be successful, if you compare the two people, it's apples and oranges. It's not even close in terms of income generation that they get in that same comparison, which is why I'm so pro e-learning in general. I wanted to hit on this because I think it's so important, and this is why people get upset and they buy one course and they think I didn't make $1 million and therefore all e-learning is bad, which is just such a poisonous thought that I just hope that if you're watching this, you don't feel that way, because you will, the moment you decide you don't want to learn in online, it's the new world. You know what I mean? I don't even know what to say. It's the new world. And I make this channel so that anybody who doesn't want to spend any money, you can have access to everything. I've courses for free at acquisition.com. I'm publishing 10 books and I'm giving them away at 99 cents because I can't give them cheap on Amazon, so that everyone can happily. And I made these as textbooks so that you can actually know, this is how you make an offer, right? And this is how you can start your business and start selling stuff. Anyways, not to go more into that, but one, your course didn't make you money because it's probably not the weak link in your chain. Number two, you're probably upset about it because the expectations that you had was that if I buy this thing, I will make lots of money. And that's partially fault of the marketing of the people who are selling the course. So I'll agree with you there. But overall, if you remove that expectation, there's lots of good stuff to find in courses. And I've learned basically everything I know from courses and application. One thing that I think is important is that if you are in a service business, right, or you are somebody who's trying to learn a skill, like I said earlier, you have to come a certain percentage, the teacher has to come a certain percentage. And the better the teacher, the less skilled the student needs to be. But at the end of the day, if I take a course or I go into a workshop or I do whatever, I know because of who I am that I am going to get a return on my money because I will find something to learn. I've learned from bad courses because I'm like, these are things that I'm not going to do when I build my course. And that has been valuable to me. And so a lot of people just create themselves as victim and continue to play the story like, woe is me. And you just got to get over it because no one cares. No one's going to help you. Like, only you are going to help you. And if you keep telling yourself the story, it's going to kill you. Let me give you a fun example. If you've ever been to Dairy Queen, and I have, which is delicious, by the way. For some reason, let's say the girl at the front, when she flips the thing, flips your Dairy Queen shake, right? The ice cream falls out because she does it bad, right? Whatever. Do you then all of a sudden say, screw you, Warren Buffett, and your terrible business, 1 star? Or do you think it's possible that that employee is new? The last piece that I want to say is around judging others. And it was kind of what I started with this thing, was one of the guys who posted this thing said that someone else had told him bad stuff about me. This is a rule, so I'll try and share as many of the algorithms that Layla and I have developed in terms of making decisions, which is we try and make if-then statements that we don't have to repeat decision-making processes, because it takes a lot of attention and time and energy to make decisions. And so if you've made one, then just boom, that is an algorithm that if this, then that, and then you don't have to make it again. And so it just makes your day faster and easier because you don't have any emotional effort. So I'll give you one of our money ones, which is no diligence, no deal. Really simple, right? And if we don't both agree, we don't move forward. So there are simple things that we've done over time to just simplify our decision-making process. And so decision-making algorithm I want to give you around people that I have is that if I don't know someone firsthand, I don't make a judgment, right? And let me tell you a couple of reasons why, because there's a couple variables that I think are worth exploring. The first is that who here has thought to themselves, when I look back on my own past, I was an idiot? I do, all the time, every day, right? And sometimes today, I think yesterday I was an idiot, right? And so if you think back to your past and you're like, man, that guy was an idiot, right? He was so arrogant, he thought he knew so much. How can I then assume that right now, 10 years from now, I'm not going to look at who I am now and think the same way? And so I question me's judgment from 5 years ago. I'm like, man, the perspective from which you saw the world was ridiculous. First off, just me, trying to just deal with my own variable of my own judgment is shaky at best, right? And so if I'm looking at someone, I barely will cast a judgment because I'm an idiot half the time. And I know this because of how I know what I was 10 years ago. And hopefully 10 years from now, I'll feel the same way now. Now, that's variable number one. Variable number two is that the person that you were listening to also is an idiot now compared to who they're going to be. And they probably might be in a certain mood, or they might have certain views about the world that are contrary to what I just brought up earlier. And so they're like, if I buy something, it should immediately work. Now, as business owners, we want to take complete responsibility for that. Absolutely 100% bar none. Like, our goal always should be 100% of people who do business with me get value in excess of what they paid, so much so that they want to tell their friends, right? That is always the goal, and that is always the ideal that we have to charge behind. Because us blaming our customers is the stupidest, possibly the stupidest thing you could ever do, because it does not improve your business at all. You get no benefit from blaming your customers. But as a customer, you have to understand, because if you're a winner, you'll notice that winners are just taking responsibility for both sides of the equation, right? And so if that person, right, that you're getting the judgment from isn't a winner, and they have stories that they tell themselves, and they might be an idiot now compared to who they're going to be in X amount of years, that if they tell you so-and-so, how many times have you heard there's two sides to a story? The more you get around the business game, right, like, there's always going to be another side of the story. And so I would have judgments that I would cast on people earlier on that prevented me from doing deals with people that I now know. And I was like, I can't believe I didn't have this person in my life for 5 years because of some post I saw. It was so ridiculous. I give this post more power than my own ability to make judgments as on another person. I guess the moral of the story is if I'm not close enough to know someone and actually have conversed with them, then I'm not going to cast a judgment. You know the amount of people who go nuts on the fact that I paid Grant 30 grand for an hour? By the way, I paid 120 grand for 4 hours was actually what it was, and that was just the first hour. But so if anyone wants to go even more nuts about it. But the point is that like everyone there, most people, I would bet, have never actually met Grant. And so they cast judgment without knowing who he is. And I think that even if you don't like someone, and I'm not saying that Grant is perfect or by any stretch of the imagination. My God, the man has demons. So do I. You miss all of the gold that people can provide you in your life by writing off an entire person. I think people are made up of lots of things. We're complex beings. Sometimes you have good days. Sometimes you have bad days. And if someone meets you on your bad days, you're like, I was having a bad day. But that's just the judgment that they have. Hopefully you're getting the idea here that there's so many variables that it makes it virtually impossible to cast judgment on someone unless you have some sort of direct relationship with them. And even then, 10 years from now, you're going to think you're a moron right now. Hopefully, if you grow. And so I take 19 grains of salt, I take pounds of salt with every one of the judgments that I have, and I just try and think to myself, like, is what I am getting from this person valuable? Is there something that I can learn of this person, rather than this person is good or bad? And I think that a lot of times we like to create binary judgments, this person is good, this person is bad, rather than the fact that people exist on multiple continuums. This was hopefully a perspective shifting video that I was inspired to make because of the post that I was tagged in. I just hope that everyone can take a quick second before, if you buy something, buy it and understand that it probably won't be the one link that you were missing. If it is, then that's the thing that creates this crazy breakthrough. But oftentimes, it's just one of the many bricks that has to be built on the way to where you're trying to go. And understanding that we're responsible and that teachers and students have a two-sided relationship. The better to the teacher, the less bad the student is, but half of people are below average, right? And like I said, half the people listening to this are below average. So think about that for a second. And then when we cast judgment on other people, is it really worthwhile? Or is it maybe more useful to say, I hate this person, but they're better than me in these ways and I can learn of them from that. And so that has been some of the useful shifts that I've had as an entrepreneur that have provided a tremendous amount of value to me in my life and have helped me move past things, both emotionally, where I didn't get an ideal experience, instead of holding on to this poison, just letting it go. And now at this point, I don't even really experience the poison because I just don't have the expectation. And so I think that the more aware we can become, this is just me talking, the more aware I can become of my own expectations, the more, honestly, the happier I am in life. Because I don't really create a lot of room for myself to get let down because I'm not expecting anything. It leaves room to be pleasantly surprised. So anyways, if this provided value to you, if this video was a pleasant surprise, hopefully, or shifted some perspectives, hit the subscribe button. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Lots of love. And for those of you who don't know us, my name is Alex Hormozi. I own a portfolio company called inacquisition.com. Right now we do about $85 million a year. The whole goal is that I'm trying to create $1 billion portfolio and recreate the middle class in America. And I'm going to do it one video at a time. So keep being awesome. Lots of love, and I'll catch you soon. Bye.